Well, I just got done watching the Google Stadia reveal, and that was bad. They answered basically no important questions. They didn't reveal any cool new games, really. It was a dumpster fire. Google Stadia is completely screwed, and I don't care what anybody else says about it. What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, and apparently it seems like Google's main idea is that they can be finally the death of consoles and physical games. They want to make it where anybody who likes to collect stuff and have a huge shelf of physical media, this stuff is apparently all about to go extinct because they want to make it where instantly whatever you want to play on can become a gaming device. The general idea behind Google Stadia I do think is pretty ingenious. The idea of making it where anytime, anywhere, you can be a hardcore gamer. But my problem is the fact that they just don't know how to do it. They don't really do anything. So my biggest issue is the fact that now, looking at a bunch of stuff about it, it still seems like Google Stadia is just such a half-baked idea. So they talked a lot about maximum and minimum internet requirements, because obviously you're not really going to be playing these games so much as you are interacting with a streamed version of them. You're going to have a controller, you're going to be pressing buttons, but nothing of where you're at is going to be doing the processing. It's just going to be broadcasting to you a series of visual images to basically mirror your motions, right? Like, think about if you're playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Well, this is one of the games they've been advertising, well, by far the most, and basically, instead of just having it where it's processing you jumping on stuff here at your house, it's processing it over at Google servers. And according to their own estimates, it seems like the actual bandwidth requirements of this are pretty low. But I honestly don't believe it. I mean, Google has so many issues with YouTube crashing, with Google Drive screwing up, with just not being able to upload stuff. I mean, can you imagine if you were paying the monthly fee, which we're going to get to here in a bit, and suddenly Google just goes down? Imagine if you only owned a Stadia. Say that you're like an older dude who spends like 100 hours a week at work and you travel a bunch, and you're like, all right, well, I can't just bring a PlayStation 4 with me everywhere. In order to play Destiny with my friends, I'll get a Stadia subscription. Well, even though you're paying a monthly fee, when it goes down for whatever reason, you're screwed. When your internet isn't working great, you're screwed. Maybe perhaps you're just in some spot that doesn't have the best satellite connection and all you have is your cell phone. Once again, you're screwed. Google Stadia basically is a dreamland fantasy. It wants you to just have the most perfect conditions for the most minimal experience. And beyond anything, they've actually said about the fact that nothing's going to be physical. You can't download games. They said that like a good thing. So like a lot of stuff, I own like 500 PS4 games now, and most of them are digital. Instead of just having a physical disc for each and every one of them, a lot of times I'll just see it when it's on sale and download it. I do truly believe that this is a great alternative option because, yeah, it doesn't mean that I get to have everything here at once, but just being able to install the 10 or 20 games I like at a time is cool. And Google Stadia flat out does not allow this. So even if you're playing something single player, like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, it is impossible to just play it. You need to be connected to the magical Google servers. Now let's talk about that monthly price, because this to me is the most ridiculous thing. So essentially what it is that there is a primary tier called Stadia Pro. This is the $10 a month subscription fee where you get access to all of the games I think that are basically already out. So if you want to play something that's slightly older, like Tomb Raider, or some of the other stuff they actually flashed on the screen was, they showed the name of Rockstar, Bungie, Ubisoft. Like, they're basically showing that maybe we'll be able to stream really old Grand Theft Autos or maybe even GTA 5 through the Google Stadia. And that stuff seems interesting, especially because it's only $10 a month, but there's actually additional prices to this that they're just not being as clear about talking about. Like something they just real offhandedly mentioned is that newer stuff will apparently have a separate fee. Now they're calling this Stadia Base, which, by the way, what a really degrading term for paying customers, but Stadia Base is essentially going to be a special tier where you just buy games one by one, and they get attached to your Google Stadia account, which I'm assuming is probably going to be just your standard Google account, which means that if I buy stuff, I own it, but I'll probably be paying between $10 and $60 for every single thing. So indie games will be $10, new games will be $60, and I'll never get a disc. I'll never get any data. No matter what, I'm just going to be accessing the Stadia servers when everything perfectly aligns and I'm able to play it. I'm sorry I keep laughing so much, but this is just so dumb. Alright, you know what? Let me just get into the one thing that I'm definitely the most annoyed about, which is the Founders Edition. Already they're trying to really hype up this special collector's edition of the system that's not even a system, where you're going to be paying $130 and you get a special controller that's ultra spooky and cool. You're going to be able to reserve your name, because apparently you have to have a Google Stadia name, so if you want to name yourself Mr. Poopy Butthole, well, you better pre-order this $130 thing. And additionally, it gives you 3 months of the service. Yeah, that's right. You're going to be paying a lot of money just to get started. And if you want to try and play some co-op and you need some additional controllers, each additional one costs $60. But I don't even know how somebody is going to play co-op. So my thing is, it's hard for me to trust servers. The idea that you and I will be connecting through these really far-off data streams, and that means that my controller is going to be talking to the server, your controller separately is going to be talking to the same server. How's that going to work? Can player 1 lag more than player 2, even if we're on the same connection? What happens if we're trying to do co-op and I start to lag out? Does my partner's game freeze up? I mean, we really have no idea. Now, my biggest question, and this is the thing that I really want a solid answer about, is what happens when everybody is playing the same game. So theoretically, what's going on here is the fact that Google Stadia right now is supercomputers over at Google headquarters. And by playing it, whenever we log into the servers, their computers are processing what our actions are. So just as a random example, if I started playing Doom and I'm just trying to go along as the Doom Slayer and shredding demons and stuff, that's cool. Especially if it's launch day. If it has like a simultaneous release, all of us are going to be trying to install and play this at once, right? Well, what happens if I decide to try and do some co-op or some competitive with my buddies Spawnwave and RGT85, and we all install it, along with 1,000 other people? Does that lag the server? Can the servers hit capacity? Can there only be 10,000 people in the world playing the same game? I mean, think about if there's a launch day and it's really big and really hyped up, what happens then? I mean, are all 10,000 people going to be processing things off the same supercomputer? Will it lag? Will there be a queue? Will I ever have to get in line to play a game? Will it prioritize people with better internet? This isn't known, and since this technology is still being developed, I don't even know how to ask somebody questions like this. It's so mysterious to try and figure out at what point this stuff actually becomes a reality. My biggest fear is if I decided to, for some crazy reason, try and jump on board the Stadia bandwagon and try and actually buy games and pay the monthly fee and get the expensive controller and upgrade my internet to make sure it's as ultra blazing fast as possible, well, then at what point do I have a console class experience? At what point is Stadia going to be as good as my PS4 Pro? At what point is Stadia on cell phones going to be as good as my Nintendo Switch? At what point am I going to have the accessibility of my Xbox One on the Stadia? All of this seems like such a tremendous downgrade that I'm still just kind of sitting here and going, Google, what are you doing? How did you think that this is an experiment that would ever pay off? Now, during this, they did reveal some games, and they are cool looking. I think Baldur's Gate 3 is great. Now that we've seen more about Ghost Recon Breakpoint, that seems phenomenal. It seems like such a nice, gritty shooter. But I feel like they definitely got a lot of these reveals to try and sprinkle in there and get us hyped. And more than anything, it kind of just made me look at a lot of these trailers and go, man, these are some great games that I am never going to ruin by playing on Stadia. I just don't even want to participate. I mean, I might test it for a video, but there's no way that this would ever be my primary gaming source. I mean, there are just so many better ways to play. I'm still just kind of baffled as to what the points, what's the demographic, what's the goal? Because there just doesn't seem to be one. This is just my opinion though. What do you think? Are you actually excited for a future where physical games don't exist and everything is in the cloud? Are you excited for it? Are you nervous about it like I am? Or does this seem like just an inevitable future? Or are you somebody who believes that the all-digital future will never come and that consoles will exist for all of eternity? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all and keep dreaming. Here's a dumb fact about me. Back in the day, I did not know how to laugh. What I would do is I would smile and bob my shoulders. If someone said something funny, I'd go... And everybody kept making fun of me for it, so I had to teach myself to laugh in my mid-20s. So now here I am, laughing my butt off at Google Stadia. Blah! Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.